Hi, good morning. I'm live now. So, those who are watching the recordings, they can just fast forward a few minutes, around 10 minutes. After that, the class starts. Hi, Vikrant. Good morning. So, we'll start the session as usual. How is the audio, video at your end? Yeah, hi, Minu. Good morning to you. It's thick fog outside. Yeah, hi, Raki. Good morning. Yeah, all of you, if you can please confirm the audio quality and the video quality. Great, thanks, Raki. Today actually is the most important day of level 2. We need to actually understand dialectical science in a deeper aspect, and also we'll have some glimpse of rational analysis. Now it's 5:59, so we'll wait for another 5 minutes for others to others to join. Thanks, Raki, for confirming audio video. And for Minu, how is the audio video quality? Hope the audio is not disturbed because my engine is on. The car engine is on because I need to keep the heater on a bit. So hope that's not disturbing the audio quality. Right. Thanks, Minu. Oh yeah, Vikrant, that's a good question actually. mother and earlier Raki too, Raki means Montaj's wife, too was worried about my sleep, but don't worry about that. I sleep a lot and I sleep very deep, so that compensate my sleeping requirement. So I sleep by 9 o'clock at the most, sometime 8 o'clock. Like yesterday, I was pretty tired, in fact, and I slept at around 7:45 or 8 after the class was over. So I got up at 12:30 this morning, and it's fine, absolutely fresh. And because I slept 4.5 hours, but that's equivalent to 10 hours, in fact. That time, if you sleep, that's the perfect sleep that you get. You know? Hope it doesn't affect health much. I try and manage my thoughts accordingly. So I conserve a lot of vitality as far as my thought patterns are concerned. I don't have any physical problem as such, like chronic issues or something very disturbing. So yeah, sometime cold, cough, fever, these are all fine. Thanks for your concern, Vikrant. By the way, my mother and my sister still thinks that I don't take care of my health. Anyway, so yeah, Prasida, good morning. How are you doing? Hi SP, good morning. How is the morning there? It's 6:03. We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes and then we'll have that silence. We'll start the session. And just so you know, today's reading materials will be live for you at sharp 7. So while the class will go on, it is a scheduled post on Facebook, in the Facebook group. So it will be live at 7 exactly. So there are 7-8 chapters, and not chapters exactly. These are short articles. So you need to chew lot, eat less. So that way, those short articles are actually concentrated articles. So you need to contemplate a lot on those articles and complete the assignments today. Oh, Prasida. So a lot of adjustment because of the course. Good. And that actually increase your integrity and commitment, So that's pretty good. As I was amazed to hear. In fact, Meenu was following for this course since last 2 months, following up for this course. So and now we came to know about her planning of attending this course despite traveling. So that's really awesome. Yeah, regarding the assignments, a small request to all of you, those who are typing and writing and clicking the image and sending, just try to use a darker pen because the software doesn't support when we try to improve the quality of the image. If it is a lighter pen, it doesn't support, number one. And number two, please write your name on the assignment page. So though it's a small group of people, but the naming will be very much essential on the page where you are writing your assignments response. Right? Hi Vidyut, good morning. Okay, so I'm disconnecting my earplugs. So do let me know. It seems the audio video is good and it's going well at your end. If any disturbance, just let me know through the chat. I'm watching your chats repeatedly. So yeah, good morning Shiva. Welcome to the session. We'll start the silence now. For 1.5 minutes, you'll hear a gong bell and then a concluding bell also to start and end the silence. So yeah. On the roads, actually, it's a thick fog, so I have to switch on the blinker. Yeah. Right. Good morning. Hi Nandini, good morning. So we'll start the session. Welcome to this formally the first session of level 2. This is very important day for all of us, and we'll start the topic without wasting much of time, because it's a long session ahead. And just before giving an intro of dialectical science, so today's topic is dialectical science, as you know, and you need to go deeper into the aspects of understanding rationality versus irrationality and logic and illogic things also. So we'll explain a few concepts also in connection to the rational analysis and all those stuff. And yeah, so on a few technical aspects is today at 7 o'clock you'll be getting the contents in your group, in your course group on Facebook. So there are 8 topics. 8 topics to be covered today. 8 short articles actually, and you need to chew lot, eat less. That's a concept. Read less but contemplate more on this, and you can Google and find out more details about these concepts. And there are ample of information available, but these articles are concised articles after exhaustive research on the subject. So these will help you to get the idea about the concept to a fair bit. So that's it now. So 7 o'clock, that scheduled post will appear at your end, and you can download it or you can read it online. So hope downloading option is available. If it is not available, then we'll figure out some other option to get you the notes. Do let us know through WhatsApp to the official number. So we'll help you out in accessing the notes in case if you have any problem on the Facebook. Right. So because this is a new feature on Facebook, the unit feature. So yeah. So so I'll switch back the camera and we'll focus on the iPad now. Excuse me. Yes, dialectical science. Dialectical science is an amazing science, and it's absolutely congruent with the reasoning capability that is programmed within us. So, hi Tulika, good morning. We are just starting the session. We have done the silence and we are starting the session. So, you are right on time. Not on the schedule of the class, but as per the topic is concerned, you are right on the time. So, yeah, so dialectical science is absolutely a congruent science on the aspect of reasoning capability that is programmed within us. So why we consider that reasoning capability is programmed within us? Because the intellect, the logical sense, the conscious logical sense actually starts appearing after the birth, immediately after the birth, or even before the birth also. So after the birth also, a child, a baby, starts getting attracted towards the mother because of the food. That's a clear cause and effect relationship. There is no so-called imposed love or something because of which the baby is attracted towards the mother. So you need to understand this thing very clearly. So reasoning capability is one aspect that is ingrained, that is a programmatic aspect of mankind. Not only the mankind, but beyond mankind, all the organisms. And mankind has got a liberty to execute the reasoning capability into a greater extent. Now, this dialectical science actually helps us to execute this reasoning capability in a rational approach. And rational approach means the least burden on our mind as far as the number of thoughts are concerned. And we'll explore that going forward. Now, for every articles, you'll find this disclaimer that contains the opinions expressed in this contents are based on nature, cure, science, and of health, and do not coincide with medicinal theories. SciSolution does not claim that any advice given represents a cure for diseases. If anyone has doubts regarding his or her health, it is the responsibility of the individual to consult a competent health practitioner. This content is not aimed at hurting anybody's belief or philosophy. SciSolution believes that the true health does not need treatment. It needs education. It is an endeavor to educate that the cure is from within. So why am I reading this? Because this disclaimer is a dialectic disclaimer. It is not to avoid any legality, kind of that legal responsibility, or trust me, nobody takes your responsibility, your health responsibility. Even if you go for a surgery or any kind of therapies in medicinal system, you have to write a disclaimer there that you are taking the charge of yourself and you are responsible for all the consequences. So that's a fact, in fact. So Dr. Kaur has arrived. Good morning, Dr. Kaur. So we have just started. So today's topic is dialectical science. So that's what I was talking about, that the responsibility of your health is yours. Nobody takes the responsibility, in irrespective of the schools of thoughts of the therapy, treatments and medicinal. Everybody will ask you to take the responsibility. So this disclaimer is not the disclaimer to avoid the legalities, because to be very frank, there is no legal insecurity in this profession of lifestyle management or lifestyle education, because it is just an education which is being passed on in the form of few information, but the rest of the things are lying on you to accept or not to accept. So this is a kind of dialectic disclaimer, and the final imposition of one thought which is aimed in this disclaimer is the cure is from within. So all the solutions of your problems is from within. And the name of our brand also have been decided with a lot of research and thought processes, that the solution is from within. That is what is the solution, psychological solution. Now, going forward, let me share an experience of this dialectical understanding, rather. So I had been doing this stretching exercises since long, regularly, and I had been doing this headstand also pretty regularly. So this is me actually without beard and long hair. So and I started researching on this dialectical aspects and all those things. Though it's not initiated with the Nature Cure research, but it was initiated long back, and I'm a fan of rational analysis. Now, I and Victoria Moran, another colleague of mine of Nature Cure fraternity from Australia, we used to connect repeatedly per week, once at least, on different aspects, because we manage a Facebook, the largest Facebook group of Nature Cure. So on that aspect, so you need to connect, and otherwise also on the Nature Cure different aspects, we need to connect on regular basis. So we were talking about the yoga and stretching exercises aspect. So Victoria is very candid person, and she shared that the blind acceptance of yoga on the name of yoga is detrimental. I accept that. And then while talking, she just mentioned that, for example, headstand is very negative for health, but we end up doing it. So with a lot of misunderstanding. So I was pretty shocked, because as per my research and understanding, the inverted position for some period of time in a day is good for health, according to Pure Nature Cure also. So headstand is nothing but an inverted position, right? So I used to consider that this is good, inverted position, to stay in inverted position for some time. Now, then I counter argued. That's a dialectical process we opt for anything. We argue a lot. So I counter argued that why are you saying this, Victoria? Because the headstand is very beneficial for health. Then she was very specific and explained that Inverted position is beneficial for the health. There is no denial about it. But the headstand, if you are taking the load of your body onto your shoulder and onto your head, that is unscientific. Now, why that is unscientific? Because there is a foundation behind calls structure governs function. It is one of the major foundation of nature cure, which says that everything in nature is structured to perform some function. There is a cause and effect. There is a cause and effect relationship of structure versus function. So, our head and the shoulder are not structured to take the body load. Our head and the shoulder are not structured to take the body load. Whereas our legs and to some extent the hand is capable enough to take the load as per their structure is concerned. So this is a clear-cut dialectic proposition, and that opened my eyes, and I stopped doing headstand after that discussion. So this is an example of dialectical proposition. So in the dialectical discussion, there should not be any ego playing in between, that no, my word should be kept and my word should be taken up at the end of the discussion. This intention should not be there in the dialectical discussion. It is just on the basis of cause and effect analysis, whichever comes up, that has to be accepted if it is a dialectical discussion. So that is what is the beauty of the dialectical discussion. And so here the definition, if we go for the dialectics, definitions of dialectics, it is reaching towards the truth by argument and counter argument of the opinions. So reaching, it's a continuous journey, you know. The definition of dialectics doesn't talk about a destination. It is a journey. It's a continuous journey. Now, definitely, sorry. Yeah, SP asked that, Kalyan, what about shoulder stand, the Sarvang Asana? Yeah, we can answer that, but the whole point was the dialectic, the patterns of the dialectic discussion. Now, as far as the headstand is concerned, the handstand is acceptable and shoulder stand with the support is also acceptable. So, inverted position is very much encouraged in nature cure to have a better circulation, but that's with support is the best. Without support, it's very risky. The ideal, one can argue that the ideal headstand will not touch the ground. The head will not touch the ground. That's the ideal headstand. But hardly we can practice that, right? So the support, with support, the headstand is healthy practice for some time, not for a longer period. So an inverted bed also is a good option to opt for some time in the day, right? Yeah. So I was talking about the definition of dialectics. Now here I must say that the dialectics has got two conditions. You know, because we need to understand that there is difference between the logic and rationality. These are not two same things, you know. So the dialectics has got two conditions. Number one is we need to accept that there are things which are beyond human achieved logics. This is very important understanding. So we got a question here from Prasida. We call it objectivity. Concentrate on the object of interest, and subjective view of the object must be separated from the object of inquiry. Awesome. This is really excellent clarification of the objectivity. I'm a fan of objectivism actually. So, and the second, and this is actually most important condition of dialectics, is do not, I repeat, do not conclude the things which you cannot give logic. So this conclusion is the problem, is a major problem. First, we need to identify that there are things which are beyond human achieved logics. But the moment we end up concluding those experiences which we cannot explain through human logic, if we conclude it as so-called kind of bliss or curse, we conclude it. And that conclusion is limiting the possibility. That conclusion is very much limiting the possibility of going beyond. So, concluding those aspects is a main limitation of the dialectic analysis and dialectic understanding, if we go for that conclusion. So, non-conclusive and going for improving the logical aspects on and on. That's the root of dialectics. So, for example, the emergences. Emergences means out of nowhere, if you are experiencing something. For example, we talk about gut feeling or intuition, right? So, these all are maybe a kind of reality, and not only maybe, these are the realities. We experience those things which we cannot explain. There is no denial of that, but it is just a personal experience. The moment we make it public, we confuse the people and ourselves both. So we need to understand the gravity of this intuition and like the experiences we call emergences, which we cannot give any logic. So we should keep all these experiences within ourselves only as personal achievement. The moment we try to make it public without giving the logic, there is a logic behind these emergencies. We'll in time we'll explain about that as well. But if we make it public without giving the logical explanation that how we are experiencing this kind so-called enlightenment, if we claim that on a certain day or at a specific time we got enlightened, I got enlightened, it is just confusing statement. Because the number one, you could not understood that how the enlightenment happened. This is very much realistic approach. The so-called enlightenment is very much possible for everybody. Number one, you couldn't understand the steps that you have followed knowingly or unknowingly. Number two, if you make it public that at once you got enlightened, then people will separate themselves from you and you may be placed as a messiah. But the people will think that the magic is reality. They will stop believing in logic. So there is a problem of proposing an experienced emergence, even if it is a reality. So if you have an emergence in your experience, keep it to yourself if you cannot give the logical explanation of that arrival of the emergence. So that's a dialectic condition that I am putting forward to start this session. Now again, the dialectics or the rationality is in a kind of shallow explanation. These are compared with the hardcore logics, the rigid logics, which is again a limitation. Now, logic is a pretty hardcore aspect, which is absolutely rigid aspect. But rationality is not so. Rationality has got tremendous flexibility in its understanding because it's a human approach. It's not a robotic approach. I'll give you one experience that I had a few years back. I was traveling from Bengal to Delhi for an urgent meeting, in fact, in Delhi. Okay, there is a, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So SP says that person who has enlightened will never be able to explain it in words, and if he explains, it will be a lie. Absolutely right. Absolutely right, SP. So that enlightenment or the emergence experiences are very much reality, and it can be achieved through a strategy also. And we have that strategy. In this particular course only we'll discuss about that strategy as well. So this can be achieved through a strategy, but if in an unstructured way somebody experiences, which can be also a possibility, the enlightenment, state of enlightenment or the emergences in the life, better he or she should keep it inside, should not make it public, because making it public will confuse the people and confuse the individual also. Yeah, so coming back to my experience, so I was traveling from Bengal, my hometown, like my birthplace, Asansol in Bengal, to Delhi, New Delhi in Shialda Shatabdi. Now, and not Shatabdi, Rajdhani, Shialda Rajdhani Express. So, what I did a mistake. I boarded on a train next day, and I did not notice the ticket before boarding the train. Now, I boarded the train and train left the station also, and I had to reach New Delhi for an urgent meeting. And from Asansol, actually, there is no air connection to reach to Delhi, so we had to go to Kolkata and come to all those stuff are there. So better to get onto Rajdhani Express. So I had a ticket pre-planned. So that ticket was suppose on 7th, and I boarded the train on 8th. So the train I missed practically. Now, if then the TT approached me, like when he came to, because I saw a person is already there on the berth, which was allotted to me, I thought. Then I realized that it is a ticket of yesterday. Then the TT came, and TT asked for the ticket, and I showed it, and I was running fever. I still remember clearly the day. I requested the TT when TT realized that it is a ticket of yesterday. So he told that next stoppage you have to get down of the train for sure, which is a long duration. In fact, the Rajdhani doesn't stop everywhere. So it was Kanpur I had to get down. So I had enough time to talk to the TT and convince him about the problem, and I have to go, like, it's a mistake that I have done for sure, but that can be taken care of, that possibility is there and all those stuff. So TT was very much adamant at the beginning that no, I have to follow the rule, and I have to throw you out, and logic says that, right? So if you don't have a ticket for that day and for that particular train, then you cannot be allowed, right? So if the TT would have been a robot, I would have been thrown out of the compartment for sure, without any arguments, because that's what is the logic. But this person was a rational person, and I explained the state that I have an emergency to reach to New Delhi, and I am running fever. So it would be great if you can help me. And trust me, I traveled that day very royally, because the TT became a friend and he offered his berth to me, and still I have his number in my mobile. So, so that's what is the rational approach. And we, in the process, nobody was harmed. So he adjusted that, and he offered me his own berth. So every coach has got a TTE berth. So that berth he offered to me. So that is what is the rationality. That is what is the dialectics. It is not hardcore logic. Logic is a part of it, definitely. Without logic, we cannot execute our reasoning capability. But beyond that, we have this rational capability, which actually includes all the aspects, the holistic aspect, the law of unity. So we need to understand this, that we should not confuse dialectics approach with hardcore logical approach. Yeah, so the dialectics is another name of the dialectical approach is rational analysis. This is a beautiful concept. An American psychologist, Albert Ellis, actually researched on that and coined this term REBT. REBT means the rational emotive behavior therapy. Those who are using pen and paper, they can also keep on noting, because noting will help you assimilate better. So, rational emotive behavior therapy. You can search for Ellis. Let me give you the full name. Albert Ellis. Ellis. So he was actually a cognitive behavior therapy specialist, and he started under Freud only. Psychoanalysis also he studied deeply. Then he found that rational approach is the better approach, and the one of the best approach to I think I have mistaken on saying that he started with Freud, because Maslow started with Freud, then shifted his study on humanistic approach, and Ellis never studied under Freud, but definitely as a psychologist he definitely studied psychoanalysis. So now Albert Ellis coined this term rational emotive behavior therapy. This is an excellent approach of explaining the emotion, because the moment we talk about logic, we consider that emotion is very bad. That's a misconception. Emotion is awesome, but the irrational emotion is the problem. Any emotion which gives us a problem are irrational. No rational emotion can actually give us pain. So all the rational emotions are pleasurable. As we understood the voice of the organism, the good taste, bad taste aspect. So similarly, any emotion which is good are rational. Any emotions, good in terms of good in experience, are rational. If any emotion bothering you, giving you pain, then there must be some irrationality behind. So this is what is explained in this beautiful theory, REBT. Now, I'll share one small tool with you all guys, which will help you to deal with your emotional issues. This is, I find that this is one of the beautiful strategic tool given by Albert Ellis to the world,
to manage the emotional turbulences. This is called ABCDE method. ABCDE method. Those who have studied psychology, they can relate it and remember it well. But let's discuss one more time. ABCDE method to deal with our emotional problems. Right. This is a strategic method. Now A is actuating event. B is the belief behind it. C is the consequences that we are facing at that moment. So now what I just wrote here, these are your experiences. This is in specific, this one, the consequence that you are suffering. Just take any of the emotional issues that disturbs you. Just go into your mind and just correlate it, what I am going to explain now. Now, when that consequence is not pleasurable, then you have to do this analysis. If it is pleasurable, enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy it. But if it is not pleasurable, then because the consequence is negative consequence that you are experiencing. If it is a negative consequences, then you need to go back to the belief behind that, which belief is creating this disturbance. So that belief will have an actuating event as well. Now this belief must be an IR, that is irrational, IB actually, irrational belief. Sorry. So that particular belief is an IB. Now I'll give you an example to make it further clear that this is a very common example. If your very closely related somebody dies, you feel the pain, right? And this is very obvious that because of the vacuum we feel pain. But that pain should have an expiry. The sooner the expiry is, better for you, and you will experience a better level of maturity within. Now, we deal with that in our personal life. Now, think about a consequence where after the loss of an individual, a beloved individual, if we continuously are suffering, because of that loss, then it is a negative consequence. For sometimes suffering is fine, but after the years also, if you still feel that pain within, then it is a negative consequence for you. Then you need to go back to find out the belief. What belief you have beneath that consequence. Now, in this particular case, the belief is that particular person will stay with me till I die. Could be one. And another, which is far more irrational, that person will not die. So we can easily identify the irrational belief if we just hold back ourselves and analyze the belief, the foundation. Right? So the moment you identify it, you will be able to establish a rational belief. Establish in terms of not into your belief system, but you will be able to identify which is the opposite belief that can be placed there. So if the irrational belief that I shared in this example is that X person will never die. If this is the irrational belief that you identify, And the rational counter belief is that mankind is immortal, mankind is mortal, and the people will die for sure, and that person was a mankind. So the moment you identify that rational belief that that individual was a human being and human being are to die, at any time the death can happen. If you identify this, this is not yet your belief system, but you can easily identify this with your conscious analysis. The moment you identify this, just try and repeat it to disrupt the irrational belief. So the irrational belief can be disrupted by repetition of the rational belief. When you charge it repeatedly, then slowly and gradually you will settle down, and then that fifth thing happens, which is an emergence of new belief, new belief system. This is very important understanding. For this particular step, you need not to do anything. Only the main responsibility is this, the disruption. This is the analytical process, ABC, and this is the disruption that you do. And when you disrupt it, then this emergence will happen automatically on its own. You need not to do a lot of things to do these aspects, to get that belief within you, right? So yeah, SP says that the belief can also be called attachment. Yes, absolutely. These are the attachment aspects only we are talking about. So this particular example is nothing but an attachment towards that person, and that irrational attachment says that he will not die or she will not die. So this is really amazing process actually, this ABCD model. Now here there is a risk involved. See, the example that I have taken is a very common example, but there are uncommon psychological problems that we suffer from. So if I don't discuss about that, this will be incomplete. This is called USA. So I need to actually explain this, why this is important, before explaining what is USA. Now, suppose a case where you had some ill behavioral pattern you find. Ill behavioral pattern could be your sexuality, could be a kleptomaniac behavior, or could be anything, because we are all human and we are to err. So that doesn't justify the errors, but that happens. That's a reality, that we do mistakes. So now it happens when you analyze and find out that you are at the wrong belief system and you did a lot of wrong things due to your faulty belief system, right? So there is a chance of emergence of guilt, and that's very enervating. So this is very important aspect before going into this ABCD applications for yourself, because this is a self application. A therapist can help you to do analyze, but it is your own analysis that is encouraged in this model. Now the USA is unconditional self acceptance. unconditional self-acceptance. So we need to, before going to the ABCD method, we need to understand USA very clearly, because without doing this, if we end up analyzing our emotional issues and we find that we had very faulty belief system, there are chances of having deep guilt. So before which we need to understand what is USA. So see, we are ever changing, every moment we are changing. What I was yesterday, I am not today. What I will be tomorrow, I am not today even. So you need to consider that the person who had that belief system was a different person, and you don't own it now. And this will help you to modify your belief system, and that is what is the unconditional self-acceptance. Unless you do this exercise, this will not be effective. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to discuss and bring your attention on this, that the REBT is very much important theory to opt a better happiness state primarily. Yes. What about ethics? What is the role of the ethics in the REBT or dialectical process? So yeah, there is some guilt is true will happen in this situation. Yes. So that's what. So guilt will be will happen for sure, but we need to deal with it by again another dialectical approach. I need to put a curtain, just a second. There is some shadow coming, I think, at your end on the screen. Yeah. So ethics. Somebody actually sent me this video of a girl, a small baby girl, crying uncontrollably, saying that I'll not eat a fish, I'll not eat a chicken, and all these things, and it's actually going crazy in the social media. I've seen this in Facebook. I've received it repeatedly on the WhatsApp. So and people are commenting that wow, this child is so ethical and all those stuff, that my food choices should not harm anybody. These kind of things were being spoken by that child. Now the point here is, this is an irrational approach. The child has not developed any ethics yet. The child doesn't born with kind of imposed ethics. These are just the influences of the parents or the immediate guardian. The child cannot evaluate and decide the things this way, because the cognition is not arrived yet. So we need to understand the gravity of this problem. Ethics should be a byproduct. Ethics cannot be imposed, and it is not by birth even. And moreover, the food choices should not come out of the ethics. It should come out of your food interest and the logical understanding of the food and the connection of the health. So this ethical imposition is again a superstition that we suffer from. We need to understand the gravity of this problem. So ethic is again not a dialectic root. Definitely a dialectic person will have ethics in her life by default. We need not to claim for ethics, or we need not to impose ethics. This is another problem. Religion. And if it is an organized religion, it's a criminal offense. Because any entity which differentiates between the mankind is a negative aspect. Now, we can definitely isolate ourselves to certain religion and say that no, if you take this religion as your own, it will be we all are same. But there is a condition that you are putting to make the people same. So food for thought on this, right? Because this is very sensitive topic that I am touching upon. But dialectically speaking, the religion never take the mankind, will never be able to take the mankind to the next step. And I'm sure you guys are understanding what I mean as religion. Right. So with that, actually, let's start today's readings. So the first topic that we'll get at 7, what is the time now? Just a second. Yeah, it's just in 3 minutes time, it will be appearing on your mobile in the group. It's 6:57 now. So this is the first topic that you need to read. And I'll just give some hints about this. Okay, so one more point I'd like to touch upon, that this morning sessions are going to be little longer. Yes, Minu, religion is absolutely man-made. So these are the topics, these are the 8 topics that you will be getting. And this is the first topic. Let us start at 0. It is rightly named because we are just starting our studies on dialectical science. So it's a 0 point, that we are starting. Now the ancient syndrome and dialectical science. So ancient syndrome is a kind of syndrome that we suffer from, considering that everything which is ancient are good. Let's accept it. That's a syndrome that we suffer from. Without analyzing anything, if we are accepting, then we are bluffing ourselves. We are pretending to accept it because we are bound to analyze. And if we choose not to analyze, then we are actually doing a foolish thing. If we claim to become a blind believer, then actually we are giving a toll on our vitality, because our vitality is eager to analyze. And if we suppress that analytical capability, then it is a toll. So I'm not going very metaphysical level. I'm talking about the realistic aspect of our own individualistic health and happiness. Because our own individualistic health and happiness is very much connected to our vitality management. And now if any decision of our lives suppresses the dialectical approach and the analytical capability, which is a program, it is not an opinion. It is a program within us that we analyze. We cannot stop analyzing. But if we choose to pretend or opt not to analyze, that's a toll on our vitality. Under the influence of any kind of things. So I name it ancient syndrome. So these two things are contradictory. You cannot claim yourself a dialectic person if you are suffering from ancient syndrome. Where is it written at? It doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter. Forget where you have read it. Just what you have read it, you understand it, contemplate it, and assimilate it deeply. Make it your own. Make it your own. And the moment you, like in the last, I think Shiva is there, the last batch in the residential course, it was raised again that why don't you take patent of your all these concepts like raw story, which are not usually talked about in nature cure camps and all, the kind of physics, density, speed, heat connection and all those stuff. Why don't you take patent? I ceased to accept that proposal because the patenting, well, what the achievement will I get by patenting it? I'm okay if somebody is reading it and claiming that that is their concept, introduced concept. I'm ready to accept that. The point here is whether that person will be able to face the question or not. If the person is able to face the question, that means that person has assimilated the topic at the core, which is absolutely fine, and I find myself within that person. So where it is written, we are on many shoulder, we are standing on many people's shoulder. Patenting cannot be done of all the talkings that we do. We borrow a lot of talkings. But if you take it to the core of yours, then it is yours. And there is a problem of mentioning this where it is written repeatedly. Because that's a kind of justification, subtle justification we try to give, that since on that scripture it is written, we need to accept it. No matter how many good things are written there, it has to be validated on the exact analytical value, dialectical analytical value. So we need to understand this gravity of mentioning scripture off and on, because there is a tendency of back calculation. When we keep on mentioning the scripture, that this scripture contains this particular proposal, so talk about the proposal. Be subtle about the scripture. Be vibrant about the proposal. Because the moment you become vibrant and vivid about the scripture, the notion will go that next thing to be accepted blindly. And there is a back calculation problem that since it was giving a lot of good things, let's justify this thing also. Why to justify? In times, if it is being justified in our lives, it's fine. But why to go blindly, proactively justifying the scriptures? That's not dialectic. This is another syndrome. Who said it? We suffer from it very repeatedly. If a person talking sense, 100 topics, 101st topic also should be vetted dialectically. If a person talking 100 nonsenses, 101st topic also should be vetted dialectically, rationally, without any influence of the previous. Without any influence of the previous talking sense or nonsense. Because it is not the person on which we should give the importance. to which we should give the importance. It is the talking he or she is making that is the most important aspect. There could be some influences, but we need to be very alert that Kalyan may be talking very sense for 100 of the classes, but 101st class should be taken up with wide open eyes. He might make a mistake, and we cannot bank upon some other's mistake. So we have to bank upon our dialectical sense, our act of contemplation, act of going deeper. And the moment we develop that knack of going deeper, we are relieved. We achieve the freedom. That's the real freedom. So question all the time. Yeah, Prasida says that we believe it's absurd to rely based on scriptures, as lot of content published in India was demolished before independence and stories were passed verbally through generations. Essence was passed through generations without any scriptures. Yes, so the dependency on the scripture is a kind of limitation. We need to be independent to analyze the thing and accept the things. Just a second. Yeah. Actually, outside it's becoming brighter, so it may give some reflection on the screen. Yeah, I made to cover it somehow. Yeah. So this is very important aspect to understand. And another syndrome is how many people have accepted it, the number, the stats. This again doesn't prove anything, because we know the data corruption these days, because the data can be corrupted and it may give some misinterpretation of your understanding. So if we bank upon the numbers blindly, then we go for a toss, for sure. Yes, the statistics, the mathematics can be used very dialectically, but again, it should not be taken blindly. At this point, this is not included in the note, but I'd like to share with you, and I'd like to have your comments on that. See, this democratic system, the democratic system is one of the best systems in this world. Now, this can be executed so dialectically without mixing the philosophy in it. The problem occurs when we mix the philosophy in running a nation. The existing political parties are confused and castled themselves in some kind of collectivist philosophy. The problem is that the nation has to run like a company. It's a skill-based association people have to do. I'll give you an example of how beautiful the democratic system can be. It's just at this age of technology, the democratic system can be executed with a proper logic. But we miss that thing. But definitely the people are coming up with ideas, and this is one of the ideas. Now say, this is just question by question answer, the democratic system can be executed. So democracy can be the topic. This is not included, but just try and understand. Suppose there is a problem in a locality of building a school. Let's say the problem statement proposed by a person that let's build a school by the public fund at this locality. Building a school in the locality. This is a problem statement. Now, how many are for it and how many are not for it, those will be separated by yes and no. Right. Now, I'm just explaining the logical execution of a democracy. Now, people will be asked, suppose there are 100 people and one is the proposal, the person who is proposing it. Total 101 people, and the poll is taken of these two options. So 51 people agreed for yes and 49 did not agree. So the ideal democratic system will accept this and whole of the 100 need to accept it. This is the condition of democracy. If it is other way, then this has to be accepted. That school will not be built. Right. Now, which is very unlikely, but the problem may occur in this condition, 50-50. If it is 50-50, then this person has got a veto power. He will be casting according to he or she, according to the opinion he is proposing, and the decision will go in that direction. This is very unlikely to occur. Now, if a system has got 99 people including him, then this problem will never occur. If it is 49-50 or it is 50-49. So numbers, so 50 indicates the majority. So this will be taken up, this will be taken up, and this will never occur in this case. Right. So, and this, just try to understand the power of dialectics, that this can solve many issues if it can be executed transparently. Because this is the age of technology, an app can be developed very easily and people can vote instantly, and that instant statistics can come out, and that will lead us to some kind of specific decision democratically without going haywire in the philosophical arena. So we'll go deeper into the philosophical aspects, actually, how the philosophy should be structured dialectically. That also can be discussed and will be discussed for sure. So this is just an example of dialectical analysis of any system. So how many people have accepted it, that should not govern your individual decisions. The example that I have made, it's a community decision. There the statistics are acceptable. But for an individual decision, the statistics is not the aspect that we should go for. The freedom is the zero without any influence. As this article is named as, let's start at zero, and let's start at zero only. And that is the freedom that we have got without any influence. If we start everything afresh, then we'll have a lot of vitality into it, because the influences take up the vitalities. And this is the present, this is now, this is power of now, without the influence of past and future. If we remain zero, then we are at the present, and the complete vitality of ours is concentrated on this specific moment, which is now. That is the power of true dialectics. So we'll just see how far we can cover the written materials. If we are not able to cover in this session, up to 8 o'clock we will continue. And then and this is 7:15. We have a lot of time. Yeah, I was talking about the timing of the class. This morning sessions are a little longer, but evening sessions will be shorter because the reflections will be just covering the submitted assignments, nothing beyond that. Little bit of analysis of that. That's it. This one, sorry. So the title of this article is, why is it either or and why is it nature cure? So I'll explain what is the meaning of this. See, if you are practicing nature cure and you are practicing medicinal route, these two are contradictory to each other, because the medicinal route will pay attention more on the symptoms, and nature cure route, you name it anything, if under the mask of medicine, if you are practicing that targeting the cause, then it is nature cure only. So I'm talking about approaching towards the symptom and approaching towards the cause. If it is cause, then you cannot give importance to the symptom. If it is symptom, then you need to neglect the cause. So it is clearly either or. It is not and. So I was actually proposed this question by one of my friends, that, see Kalyan, it is okay to have a good lifestyle as you recommend, but the importance of medicines cannot be ignored completely. It is not either or, it is and. We need to opt both to have a healthy life. So this is a very common proposal people give to you, so I thought to answer this particular question. So there are different concepts we need to identify, and we need to be respectful about the concepts, but the fact, the truth cannot be mutilated based upon our own situations. If we try to adjust with our situational problem, which is fine, but on the basis of that, if we claim that the truth is something else, then that is nothing but bluffing ourselves. We need to understand this very clearly. So we need to identify the truth, and the knowledge of the truth will only help us to gain the change in the long run. So this is very important aspect, to identify the difference between the concepts, and while respecting the concepts, we should accept the truth. So the whole ball game of our business in Sai Solution is not solving your problem, but helping you to know how you can reach to the solution. So this few information, because see, we need to understand how the knowledge occurs. The knowledge is something, information. You experience some information, then you understand. Understand will include contemplation, analysis, and everything. You understand it, But that understanding is not end of it, unless you become aware. There's a simple, very shallow example that I can give: the fried food. The fried food is considered as bad, and everybody knows it, understand it. The moment you become aware of it, you stop consuming it. And we struggle at this level a lot. And we'll find out the routes to make ourselves aware more dialectically. But the point here is, we are talking about the learning. The learning process is this, which is your responsibility. And teaching process is this, which is my responsibility. But your knowledge, which is coming out of the understanding, is credited to you. My credit is the way I pass on the information, and I don't have any modesty or hesitation to accept that. But your knowledge is your achievement, which lies here. So, nature cure is all in all not to solve your problem, but bring a knack within you to solve your problem on your own. Medicine, yes, instant relief from the discomfort. No doubt about it. If the current discomfort is the main problem of us, then medicine is fine. If we don't have time to contemplate and go deeper, then medicine is fine. But if we have time to contemplate, then why medicine? Why is it nature cure? I have covered this in the previous classes also. Let's not go deeper. And in the article also you'll find the answer. And this tendency and the intention, these two terms we need to understand. So the nature cure is nothing intentional aspect of nature, you know. So the cure is default. It is happening. Just you need to be intelligent to provide lot of vitality to yourself. Provide means conservation. Externally providing is not possible. We know it, and we will be knowing more about it. So the difference between the tendency and intention to be understood clearly. So nature doesn't have an intention. Nature has got just tendency. It is neutral. And the tendency to maintain the homeostasis of the universe. And you are very tiny little portion of this universe. Definitely for you also it is programmed. Yeah, awareness is the nature cure. Are you all okay to go ahead? Is it going very heavy? Is it going very heavy? Please respond on the chat. I'll have a water break. Actually, these classes are very short interval classes. We may think that these are the long classes, but in residential courses, we actually grill ourselves. It's sometime goes for continuous 4 hours classes. Then after that, there will be 1.5 hour break, and then again another 4 hours classes. Okay, great. So, and was there any question? After Prasida, SP, true, every person in this crowd is not intelligent, and there is a never crowd of intelligent people. Yeah, right. So let's go ahead with the next article, which is the unique language. Yeah. Do let me know, Prasida, if you need any explanation on the examples and all. Because of paucity of time, I'm not including a lot of concepts, examples wise. So yeah, so let's watch short clips if Facebook allows us. Let's see.
क्यों भेज दिया उसको? क्यों? कोई रास्ता नहीं था। पिछले साल वो 3rd स्टैंडर्ड में फेल हो गया। यकीन करेंगे 3rd स्टैंडर्ड।
So this is a clip from Tare Zameen Par movie. It's a short clip of I think 2 minutes or so. Let me see the timing. Yeah, 3 minutes. 3 minutes slot. Let me explain the scenario. Those who have not watched the movie, there is a dyslexic child in this movie, and Amir Khan, the protagonist, another protagonist. The protagonist is definitely that child, and this person is a teacher. Amir Khan's character Nikumb, and he supports this dyslexic child to get over his problem. That's the whole story about the movie. And the parents could not understand the gravity of the problem, and they were misinterpreting the problem as the intention of the child. So this was the situation, and when Nikum identifies that this child is suffering from dyslexic problem, and we need to help him, so he went to his parents' home, and the child was in the boarding school with Nikum. So and trying to understand the problem the parents are suffering, and he explained that beautifully. Just watch this 3 minutes clip. Okay, you want the mic? Okay. Yeah, thanks. So this is a person from film fraternity. Really, this is a needful advice. I'm keeping the mic near the iPad.
आपको क्या लगता है उसकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम? उसका रवैया और क्या? पढ़ाई की तरफ क्यों भेज दिया उसको? क्यों? कोई रास्ता नहीं था। पिछले साल वो 3rd स्टैंडर्ड में फेल हो गया। यकीन करेंगे 3rd स्टैंडर्ड। और सुधरने के कोई आसार नहीं। ये मेरा बड़ा बेटा हर क्लास में हर सब्जेक्ट में फर्स्ट आता है, और वो दूसरा। आपको क्या लगता है उसकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम? उसका रवैया और क्या? पढ़ाई की तरफ, हर चीज की तरफ हमेशा बदमाशी, तेवर ही तेवर। कभी कोई बात ही नहीं सुनेगा। मैं आपसे उसका प्रॉब्लम पूछ रहा हूँ, आप मुझे सिम्टम बता रहे हैं। आप बता रहे हैं बच्चे को बुखार है, वो मुझे मालूम। मैं पूछ रहा हूँ बच्चे को बुखार क्यों है? वजह क्या है बुखार की? आप कभी आप ही बताइए। बताइए। उसके पढ़ने लिखने की गलतियों में आपने कोई पैटर्न देखा? कोई गलती जो वो दोहराता हो? पैटर्न? काय का पैटर्न? सब गलतियां ही गलतियां। फिर आप पैटर्न पहचान नहीं पाए। ये देखिए, ये बी की जगह डी, तो डी की जगह बी। एक जैसे दिखने वाले अक्षरों के बीच में कंफ्यूजन। और ये एस और आर उल्टा लिखा, बल्कि कई सारे अक्षर उल्टे लिखे। ये देखिए, छोटा एच, छोटा टी, देखा? मिरर इमेज। एनिमल, एनिमल, एनिमल। एक ही पेज पे 3 अलग अलग स्पेलिंग। इसका मतलब कोई एक गलत स्पेलिंग उसे याद है ऐसा। दूसरी बात, एक जैसे शब्दों को मिक्सअप करता है। ये टीओपी टॉप बन गया पीओटी। एसओएलआईडी सॉलिड बन गया एसओआई लेट। क्यों करता है ऐसा? बेवकूफ है, आलसी है ना। मेरी समझ से उसे अक्षर पहचानने में दिक्कत हुई। जब आप APPLE एप्पल पढ़ती है तो आप अपने दिमाग में एक लाल लाल एप्पल बना लेते हैं। ईशान वो एप्पल पढ़ ही नहीं पाता शायद, इसलिए मतलब नहीं समझ पाता। पढ़ने लिखने के लिए
अक्षरों की आवाज, उनकी बनावट, शब्दों का मतलब समझना जरूरी है। ये अहम जरूरत ईशान पूरी नहीं कर पा रहा।
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये सब बहाने हैं पढ़ाई डालने के।
Watch this portion.
तेरी पढ़ी ये कैसे पढ़ सकते हैं? चाइनीज में।
अरे कोशिश तो कीजिए, चलिए ध्यान दीजिए।
क्या बेकार की बात कर रहे हैं? मैं कैसे पढ़ सकता हूँ?
क्या बदतमीजी कर रहे हैं? आपका रवैया ठीक नहीं है। आप शैतानी कर रहे हैं। कुछ ऐसी ही कैफियत होती होगी ईशान की, अक्षर ही समझ में नहीं आते। इस पढ़ने लिखने की तकलीफ को डिसलेक्सिया कहते हैं। कभी कभी बच्चे को डिसलेक्सिया के साथ साथ और भी तकलीफें हो सकती हैं, जैसे कि मल्टीपल इंस्ट्रक्शन समझने में दिक्कत, टर्न टू पेज 65 चैप्टर 9 पैरा 4 लाइन 2 कंफ्यूजन, या फिर पुअर फाइन एंड ग्रॉस मोटर स्किल्स। क्या ईशान को अपने शर्ट के बटन या जूते की लेस बांधने में तकलीफ होती है? योहान, जब तुम उसकी तरफ बॉल देखते हो क्या वो पकड़ पाता है?
वो बॉल को कभी जज ही नहीं कर पाता,
क्योंकि वो साइज, डिस्टेंस और स्पीड इन तीनों को एक साथ समझ ही नहीं पाता। कितनी बड़ी बॉल कितनी दूर से कितनी तेज आ रही है, जब तक वो जान ले गाड़ी छोड़ जाती है।
So, understanding the language. And we do have our own unique languages for our vitality. And if we act like the parents of Ishans without understanding the language of our own vitality, we suffer the blow. So the vitality is the child within. So the link of that video is there on the note also. On YouTube you will find that if you want to again watch it. So we need to understand the language of our vitality. That is the whole point of. Now this has got unique language, and we cannot, I repeat, we cannot make others' vitality as our language. So the conscious vitality management is only the language that we should. Okay, there was some disconnection in between. Now it's back, it seems. Yeah. So you need to move fast little. So so you'll have a repeated discussion on the food and vitality today in the articles, where in different approach it was actually tried to explain that you cannot consider food giving you vitality. So this particular article actually is about this claims of energy healing. So those who can read Hindi, they can see this. This is written in Hindi that we can make a dead person alive. This is the claim of this advertisement, and more or less all these energy healing claims are similar to this, that we can change the vitality quotient. That's a main proposal of these kind of healing claims. So averting death is a kind of myth. We cannot avert death. We need to accept it. And why to waste time to enhance our vitality quotient? And we waste a lot of time thinking about that. Food is just the substance. Its vitality is of no use for us. That's loud and clear. Yes, we feel weak without food because that is the anabolic requirement, and our vitality is spent on that urge to ask for food. The hunger takes the vitality a lot, and due to that experience, we feel weakness. It is not due to the food. Food is not the direct cause. It's a one layer deeper we need to go to identify that weakness. And it is not because of the food, vitality of the food. It is because of the engagement of your vitality in the hunger experience. Yes, food helps us to conserve vitality. And it's a corporate understanding that a penny saved is a penny earned, but in reality, it doesn't occur that way. Penny saved is penny saved only. Don't consider that penny saved is a penny earned. So food doesn't give us the vitality. The debate continues. Here's a incident of a gift. People like one of my friends actually gifted me an ashtray, a marble ashtray, and that marble ashtray is beautifully crafted. But I neither smoke nor I allow anybody to smoke in my house. The guest I'm talking about. So it is not useful for us, that gift. And with this kind of response, that friend got annoyed that I'm not appreciating the gift. So I appreciated the craft, but the usefulness cannot be appreciated. I couldn't help her being satisfied after giving the gift. But the fact is that we end up doing the similar thing for ourselves. We try to enhance vitality in many routes, but that is not useful at all. That is not identified by our body as vitality enhancer. So let's call a spade a spade. The food is the building material and end of it. Yeah, we find a sense of energy after consuming food because the vitality is disengaged from the hunger experience. Just now I explained that without food we feel weakness, and with food we feel energized. That is not because of the energy in the food, because of the disengagement of the vitality from the hunger state. And this is another problem, stimulating sense. Few food, if gives you instant energy, identify that as toxin because your all vitality rush to expel that toxin, and that rushing is experienced as extra energy. This is called stimulation. So any food, if it is giving you a stimulating sense, it is bad for your vitality. It is consuming a lot of vitality from within. So again and again today in multiple articles you will find that this particular superstition is hit, that food cannot give us the vitality. We need to understand it deeply. This is another article, food and vitality again and again. There was a story, story means this is the experience of, the story of my experiments with truth by Mr. M.K. Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. He wrote in his book, that is quoted there in that article, that I asked my friend the reason and he explained this. explained it thus: we are a weak people because we do not eat meat. So a friend of Mahatma Gandhi proposed him in his childhood that eating meat will make him stronger. So the understanding was such that if the complicated food is consumed, that will give us a strength. So meat is a complicated substance, protein or some names are there, and it will give you strength to fight with Britishers. That was the understanding, and he tried meat in his lifetime. He accepted that in this book, and after trying, he actually suffered a lot with guilt, and he couldn't continue because of the ethical issue, and he actually stopped that, and he admitted that to the friend. This decision I communicated to my friend, and I have never since gone back to meat. So now this decision was not a dialectic decision, I must accept it. Because this was kind of a decision non-dialectically initiated in terms of ethical understanding. So food choice and ethic should not be mixed together when we have the dialectics of right food, right? So in case of emergency situation, we might have to take some food which is not recommended, but that emergency situation should be defined dialectically again. But the fact here is mixing ethics with the food choice is a non-dialectic approach, no matter who has taken this step. The vitality is the formless entity, and we actually understood that with the E equals to mc square aspect also, that the food and the vitality are two different aspects and cannot be mixed together. I think you will be able to correlate it. So ultimate goal is the conservation of vitality, and the complexity of food do not enhance the vitality conservation. We need just RAW in simple forms. That is the best case. So the next article and the final article is, today's final article is the raw theory that you have already understood. So the few, okay, not the last, another article is also there. So a question was asked that why don't you include all the 5 elements, but in your raw theory, there is a typo in this. So now this article actually explains that why the space is not included. This is easily understandable. I think you can go through and understand that the space is a vacuum, and we talk about the personal management of the health, where fasting, if we compare with the vacuum, the fasting also needs to be taken up very rationally when the body indicates it. So we can actually go for discussion on the WhatsApp also on this, the aspects of fasting. So blind acceptance of fasting is not encouraged. That's why the space is not included in the raw story. And why earth is not included? Because the earth is basically an assimilator. We cannot consume earth directly. That's the rationale behind not including earth in the raw story. So other than this space and the earth, rest of the 3 elements are very much included in the raw story. Just that these 2 are identified but not included. Yeah, so this is the last one, a conversation on inoculation, the vaccination. This is again a perennial question that I get from the participants. So this particular conversation will clarify few of the understanding as far as the nature cure is concerned. So I think this is again self-explanatory. So we can go through. These are the questions actually. Do you deny that the polio is a disease that is caused by polio virus? Absolutely not. This is absolutely agreeable fact that the polio is caused by polio virus. What is the there is no argument on that, and we don't have any solution to the polio. Neither anybody can have. So they will answer that no, I too don't have, but I have a preventing solution to prevent polio vaccine. The polio vaccination is the prevention of the polio. Can you deny that? Yes, no, no denial of that. Now, the deeper question is, which is more concerning for you, the polio or the toxemia, which is causing polio? So we need to go deeper into analyzing the things. If the peripheral polio is the problematic, then yes, fine, polio vaccination is absolutely good. But again, the question comes, but what is the problem in just inoculating and avoiding the specific condition also? The problem is the load of toxin. On the name of this prevention, if we load the kids with additional toxin, that is a problem that we see. Now again, the conversation goes on, millions of babies are inoculated and leading healthy lives. How are they able to manage it? Thanks to the vitality of babies. They have tremendous vitality to fight it. Just correlate, after the vaccination, the child will get fever. Though there are non-fever vaccination also these days. But that fever means the expulsion of the toxin. Because of the high vitality, the body raises the temperature and throw out that toxin immediately. It is our superstition that we contain and continue with that particular toxin. Thank you. So that ends today's articles. Now all the articles are uploaded on Facebook by now. We have we can walk bare feet on earth. Yeah, absolutely we should. But try to avoid cements, walking on the cements, because cement is chemical. So you need to just try and understand that touching the soil is great, but not the chemicals. So you need to protect your feet from the chemicals. Yeah guys, so I think we are done, and I'll just show you the sun from here like yesterday. And this is a beautiful sun that has come. Can you see it? Yeah, so it was awesome to have you all. It's almost 2 hours. So we'll have 1.5 minutes of silence, and we'll conclude today's session.
Okay, guys. So I'll end the session and we'll see you at 6 in the evening. Goodbye.